back to Sundays in the Garden. If you're new here, my name is Sarah, and on this channel I share all of the things I'm getting up to in my English cottage garden and allotment area. If you're new, I would really love for you to subscribe so you can join our growing community as we are learning and growing lots of new things together, and see how the garden and allotment progresses in 2024 and beyond. In today's video, I'm going to take you around the garden and allotment area in the month of July 2024 to see how things have grown and changed this month. So we begin here by looking at this view of the garden from down by the house, and as with last month, everything is looking full of life and abundance, and I'm going to take you through each area down here and show you what's going on this month. So these geraniums have now finished flowering, but I did see somewhere that if you cut these back down to the ground after they flower, you may get a second flush of flowers. Is this true? Let me know in the comments. Looking across at the meadow suite now, the abundance of pink flowers has now faded and we've got lots of seed heads which are much more muted. I do really love using these seed heads in my Christmas wreath because they add some great texture and depth, so I'll be leaving lots of these to use in things like that, and we do still have lots of fluffy pink flowers, but if I cut it back I think I would get a second flush of flowers. Back to this view now, and you can see the lavender is in full flower and the bees are really enjoying it. Let me take you a bit closer. So every time I come out here and have a look at the lavender, there are several bees collecting the pollen and really enjoying these. So it's wonderful to see. Similarly with these self-seeded loosestrife and herb robert are not meant to be here, but the bees and pollinators love them. So it's great for the ecosystem in the garden. So I just leave them. I may remove them at the end of the season, but for now they stay and they look beautiful. The lilies in the pond have gone crazier than ever before. You may remember me showing you how many beautiful blooms we had last month, but I may have to cut some of these leaves back when we get to the end of the season. Now back over to the patio area, and the dahlias are really the stars of the show over here, along with the sweet peas and blueberries, so let me take you closer. This is dahlia Meadow, which I got given for my birthday earlier in the month, and it's absolutely stunning. It came from a local plant nursery and I love it. It was filled with flowers earlier. Here's what they look like, but now we have deadheaded them and we're waiting for the second flush. Another dahlia I got for my birthday. I'm not sure of the variety here, but what I loved about it was it's got the kind of ball style, yet they open fully to allow the pollinators in to get the pollen, so that's great, beautiful and beneficial. Here is my clematis that I put in because the other one had not survived the winter, and it's looking really good. It's healthy, it's in a pot, but it's thriving and growing just as the previous one did, so love that. And my sweet peas down here, because they're in full sun, are doing absolutely brilliantly. Now these need actually cutting so that I can continue to get more of these beautiful blooms, but I thought I would leave it in abundance so I could show you guys, and then I'm going to trim these back and take them inside for some beautiful cut flowers. But the stems are really long and just so productive and beautiful and smell amazing. Another fantastic producer are these blueberry plants down here. I think this is the best year I've had for blueberries. I'm getting at least a portion a day from them, and I haven't harvested these for a couple of days, so you can see just how many I am getting every few days. Absolutely brilliant and completely delicious, so a great success here. On to the dahlias now. They're all doing brilliantly, all in different states of growth. This one was a new one this year, just needs pinning. Also new this year, this cafe au lait. Look at the size of it. It's a complete monster. Absolutely amazing. The Seattle doing really well, and also the Nordvik Glory down here looking lovely and lush, all new this year. And then over at the back here, these are in their second year. I stored the tubers over winter, so they're much larger. And this one is actually starting to get its first flowers of the season now, so looking forward to seeing those in hopefully a few weeks' time. So subscribe if you'd like to see some of these in bloom in the month of August, hopefully, and onwards. This one here looking like it's going to get some flowers as well, so lots to look forward to down here. I love dahlias. So despite being a little bit of a jungle down here, it's looking beautiful, lush and colourful, and loads to look forward to in the coming months as well. Even the tiny flowers in these rainbow pots are holding their own and looking absolutely stunning. And now to what is fast becoming the rose garden section of the garden. These yellow roses over on the fence have not stopped flowering since they started back in the spring, and they are looking absolutely beautiful still. I'm just deadheading them and leaving them to do their thing, and they are absolutely stunning and cheerful and wonderful to look out of the kitchen window onto every day. Next to the yellow rose, you may remember there was that dying rose that, despite my best efforts, was not coming back to life. I've cut it right back, and I've noticed this shoot coming from the base. Is it a sucker? Will it flower? Let me know what you think in the comments, but I'm really hopeful that we could have this rose come back to life. So coming back to this view again, and I'll bring you down into the border to show you my new little alliums. They're so cute. I love them. I got these for my birthday as well, and I'm going to leave those in here, and hopefully they will flower year on year. And the bees have been really enjoying these, so a lovely addition to this border, I think. Over here we have my agapanthus. Now these have been here since we moved in and are absolutely beautiful. But I just have a question, because if you have a look down here, you can see lots of agapanthus leaves, but only this one flower. So why are these blind? Why have I not got any flowers from the other sets of leaves and bulbs? Do they need to come out? Will they flower another year? If you have any idea, please let me know in the comments, because these are beautiful and I would love to have more of them down here if possible. So if these ones aren't going to flower, I'll plant some more. Up here is my shrub rose. This is the red shrub rose, and it was cut back last month, but as you can see, it's now about to give its second flush of beautiful red roses. These smell amazing, and I think it's actually looking even better this time than it did with its last flush. So I can't wait to see how these bloom in the next few days and weeks. And then coming down here into the middle of the border, you can see my brand new shrub rose is about to have its second flush of flowers. And there are so many more flowers on this one than there were the first time round. I only planted this one this year, and it only had a couple of flowers on last time round. And there are loads of new buds coming, so I can't wait to see this. I cut back my Centura cornflowers, and this is going to be their second flowering now. So they are looking beautiful, and I'm looking forward to seeing them again in a few weeks. And on to the absolute star of the roses show. You may remember this from a few months ago, looking absolutely amazing with abundant flowers. Well, this David Austin Roald rose is about to give us an amazing second showing. We are already getting some beautiful new blooms, as you can see down here. There are 4 or 5 buds on each stem, all producing the similarly beautiful flowers. It's absolutely amazing. And over here, if you have a look, there are some stems over here with 7 buds per stem. So we are just going to get so many flowers here. I can't recommend this rose enough for its productivity. I don't have to do hardly anything to it. It sometimes gets fed, it sometimes doesn't. Sometimes it's just holding its own, but it always produces these fantastic flowers. So if you're looking for a rose, this rose comes highly recommended. Down here, we still have lots of green alkanet coming up. I cut this back, but it's obviously coming back again as it does. I've kind of let it come back because I want to see where it is so that I can remove the majority of it, because it's a real pest and it does smother everything else you're trying to grow in the border. Back to this view now, and to the left of me we have this fern which has just started to flower. I love the yellow flowers on here and the texture of the leaves. It's a beautiful addition to this area of the garden under the laurel tree. Next to it, I have the globe thistle, which is super popular with the bees, and it's just starting to flower now. So looking forward to seeing the colour here in the coming weeks. And next to it, the muchly dormant spring border with lots of weeds in here, which need to be cleared out, but otherwise a kind of dormant area at the moment. But at the back, we have this stunning fuchsia, which looked like it was dead 2 years ago. It died right back to the base, but then it sprung back to life and it's now re-establishing itself beautifully. So a real story of hope in the garden, and I love this fuchsia for that reason, and why I'm hopeful for my rose, I think, on the other side. Always a showstopper, this Crocosmia Lucifer is a stunning addition to the right-hand border. I've got some new metal supports down underneath them this year because they often fall over. So that's great. They now can be held up and supported, and look, they're beautiful best over here. So really enjoying these, and hopefully we'll get a few more weeks of flowers on these. To the left-hand side of the garden, you can see that the loosestrife is now starting to fade. We've only got a few flowers left at the top of the stems, but I'm leaving them there until they have finished flowering because the bees are still enjoying them. And then I may, as you may remember from last year, cut them back in sort of September, October time to the ground so they can come back again. This bench still needs painting, maybe a job for August if I'm lucky. but it's fine here. It serves its purpose, but it would be good to give it a new coat of paint. Then coming back to the right-hand side of the garden, up the back here, you can see that this border has not been touched. It's the one that I would like to do some new work with. It is actually starting to die back, which is going to be doing me some favours because it means I can cut back some of this dying growth and dig out the roots. And the plan at the moment is just to dig this area out before the winter and then try to keep it nice and under control. This is the barberries that I cut back. It has grown again and now flopped over. I'm not really sure why. So it's looking like a cascading barberries at the moment, but, you know, interesting. Over here we have the ash tree that I moved. A squirrel had seeded it somewhere else in the garden, but I've moved it here and it's happy here now, which is great. So I'm hoping it will grow up against this post because our neighbour has 2 hazel trees on the other side of the fence next to those 2 posts. So I thought this one could come up and fill the canopy with beautiful, beautiful leaves and adds to the woodland feel of this area of the garden. So yes, a work in progress, as we have said every month since probably the beginning of my YouTube journey back in September last year. Looking at the greenhouse section now, and on the table I've got some plants, some raspberry canes and some other plants that I've got plans for. They're still there, they're still alive, and I will try and show you what my plan is for those later in the vlog, but they will need to go to a new home very soon because they're not going to be happy in pots forever, so that's on the to-do list. Down here are the wildflowers that my little boys planted back, I think, in March in this pot. And they've done really well, actually. This area of the garden is a mixture of success and failure. So looking over here, we have the spent alliums now and the leaves have died back. The seed heads have now collapsed. So I'm just going to pull these out. But the reason they're still here is because I want to label them. Put in a mark here because I have 3 more bulbs to plant along next to them. So I have a little alley of the same variety of alliums for next year along here. And then behind them, we have the verbena, which I planted a few months back, and it's looking stunning. And I just love these flowers. Look how stunning they are. Delicate. When the wind moves through them, they just look beautiful. The bees love them. So a wonderful addition to this area of the garden. And I'm going to plant actually some more verbena along here with the view to having kind of a channel of verbena on one side and then the alliums here next to the path. So looking forward to that next year. So that's an area of success. Then we come to the sweet peas, which are not such a success. I had the teepee here. I mean, some of them are flowering. There isn't much sun for them down here, bless them. So the ones that are flowering are doing really well. I don't know if that perhaps some of them were just a bit leggy when I planted them out, and perhaps I could try again next year and see if some more do better. But there aren't many flowers on here, but they never were as good as the ones in the pot. So we'll have to see. I might plant some more again next year, give it one last try. Over here is the foxglove dell, and we only had a few foxgloves here earlier this year. But what I'm doing at the moment, now that the flowers have died back, is just pulling off the seed heads and then sprinkling the seeds amongst the bottoms of the foxgloves here. So hopefully we get lots more again next year. I have also planted some of the baby foxgloves that I had sown from seed earlier in the year. And they were in the greenhouse. They've now been planted at the base of these foxgloves. So we have already got some foxgloves that we know will flower next year. Because as you know, they're biennial. So you have to sow them one year, but you won't get the flowers until the next year. So these ones are going to produce me my flowers for next year. Whereas the seeds I've just sown probably won't flower again until the following year. So I know I'm going to have some foxgloves here next year from these seeds that have been sown, which is brilliant. So lovely to see those, and we'll see how they go and progress over the coming years. Again, if you want to see the foxgloves in bloom, go back to a few of my previous vlogs and you'll see those looking lovely. And subscribe to see how they look next year. Coming over to the hazel hurdle fence, we have actually had some flowers on the star jasmine now, and they're looking beautiful. I only noticed these by chance. They're tiny, we only got a few, but the star jasmine was only planted back in November, so it's really just taking its time to establish itself. But I can confirm that it smells absolutely amazing. Okay, so just to recap this area of the garden, I'm really happy with this side, and we're going to have more alliums in a little alley there next year, as well as the verbena, which I'm also really happy with. I'm not sure about these sweet peas. I think I might give it another go next year, but they haven't been the best success story. So the tulips that I plant under here have done brilliantly because they flower before the canopy of leaves closes overhead. So tulips, yes, not sure about the sweet peas. If you've got any idea what you would do with this area after the tulips finish flowering, do let me know, because I'm not sure about the sweet peas. Coming into the greenhouse now, let's see what I can show you in here. So as you can see, the tomatoes are doing brilliantly. They have now reached the top. I'm having to keep pinching out the tops now so they don't fall over, but we've got lots and lots of tomatoes growing on here. I'll show you those in a moment. Over to this side, I've got my verbena, which, yes, I know many of you will remember I should have planted this out by now, but this is going to go next to the other verbena outside. So in the next few weeks, now I've stopped working, that's where that is going to go. Looking back at the tomatoes again, let's see if we can see some of the lovely tomatoes that are growing. Some up there you can see, there are some more under here. Lots and lots of tomatoes now appearing, lots of flowers. Just cautious that they're getting pollinated, so keeping the doors open and the window of the greenhouse open. But yes, lots of tomatoes starting to form on here, so that's really encouraging. And then down here on the floor, let me see if I can get down here for you now. The aubergines have not been the most successful story so far. So I got some beautiful flowers on the aubergines, which I shared over on Instagram. Follow me there at Sundays in the Garden. But nope, sad story. None of them produced aubergines because they weren't pollinated. So I'll try and bring you in a little closer here now, and you can see that there are new flowers forming here, thank goodness. So what I need to do is make sure that I self-pollinate these. I've got a little paintbrush in the house, and I'm going to use that to transfer the pollen between the flowers because I'm not sure the bees are getting in here to pollinate them. So I don't lose the beautiful flowers and aubergines. I am going to pollinate them myself this year by hand. And just take the paintbrush and gently transfer the pollen between the plants, which hopefully will mean I will actually grow an aubergine. The same can't be said back here. The slugs and snails are getting in here and attacking these cucumbers. I mean, there are some tiny flowers forming. Are we going to get any cucumbers? I don't really hold out much hope, but we'll leave them in there. You just never know. Stranger things have happened. Down here in the dormant dahlias, one seems to have come to life, I think. I do believe that is a dahlia in there, so I'm going to keep watering it and leave it and see if we get a dahlia. You never know, there's always hope in the garden. And let's walk up to the allotment area and see what's new up here. So to my left, the New Dawn rose is now starting to reflower for its second flush. This was planted last year, so it's still a relatively new rose, and it's doing really well. It's getting quite far up this archway, so I'm really pleased with it. The blooms are beautiful, very fragrant, and looking forward to seeing more of these coming in the next few weeks. The actual rose is now nearly reaching the top of the arch, so I'm looking forward to training this over there over the coming years. A wonderful addition to the garden. And then down to the right, my new chimney pot herb planters are doing really well. We use the oregano every week and it's now looking very thin on the ground. So that may need to be replanted. It's getting very leggy and thin, but otherwise a great success story down here in the herb planters. Over here we have my rhubarb, which is also looking a little thin on the ground now, but only because I'm using it on a regular basis in my porridge in the morning. I stew it and pop it in the porridge with some honey, and it tastes a lot like apple crumble. So I feel like I'm being reasonably healthy whilst also being very naughty. So it's absolutely delicious and really enjoyable in the morning. Highly recommend that. Back here you can see some poppies. They're now nearly finished flowering. I let these self-seed in this one every year and they're very pretty. The roses you can see are now very much dormant and finished. These ones only have one flush per year. They're absolutely stunning and the one flush is worth it. I will insert a little picture now of what they look like when they're in flower. Absolutely stunning, I'm sure you'll agree, and I can't wait to see them again next year. That one flush is well worth it. Then down to the right hand side of the garden, I'm still getting a few strawberries off the strawberry plants, but they're nearly finished now for the year. And then over here you can see the radishes have gone to seed. I've got lots of lovely flowers on here. I'm not pulling them out because literally every time I come out here there are bees on them. I think I can see one down there now. Let me just have a look. Yes, a very happy bee enjoying the radish flowers. So they're staying while the bees are enjoying them because, again, bringing bees into the garden means I get lots of other beautiful vegetables and things too. So we just leave them until the bees are finished with them. The lettuce is doing amazingly. I have been pulling bits off of these lettuces and having them in salads, but as you can see, they're getting really, really big now. So I probably need to kind of think about harvesting them before they bolt. I've got a new little Mrs. Tiggywinkle down here because this is my Peter Rabbit border. And you can see Peter back over there. Let me see if I can move around to show you him. He's hiding amongst the perpetual spinach at the back there. But this is my latest little border this year, inspired by Beatrix Potter and Peter Rabbit. And I love it. And I'm going to be improving that year on year. So subscribe if you want to see how that develops. Nettles are still there, only really good for nettle tea and the bees. Looking at the sprouts and the cabbages under here now, they're doing really well. The cabbages are getting slightly munched, thankfully not by cabbage white butterfly or caterpillars, but just by slugs. So they're doing reasonably well, but I may take the netting off and just kind of check through and see if I can find any of the culprits and remove them so that these continue to do well. The sprouts are doing amazingly, but I'm almost at the point now where I want to take the cover off. But when I've done that in the past, the pigeons have completely decimated the crop. So I'm really scared about doing that. Any tips on keeping pigeons off of your brassicas, please let me know, or should I just keep them covered? To the right here, we have some new snap peas growing. I have put these in where the garlic was. I managed to harvest all of my garlic and it was all really successful. I was really, really pleased with it. It did get like the old witch's broom on the top, so I was a bit concerned that it might not be any good. But when I dug it up, all the bulbs split and were delicious, and we've been using it in the kitchen. Over here we have the carrots and the parsnips next to the snap peas, and I have been harvesting a few of the carrots, so I'll try and insert a little clip of the carrot harvest so far, but it won't be long before these need harvesting, and I'm going to start sowing some more, hopefully for winter harvests. So I'll try to remember to share that with you when I harvest these so you can see how they're doing, because some of them are looking a fantastic size and I'm really, really pleased with them this year. And coming over to this bed now, which you can see is looking decidedly bare. We have got onions down in here, but they never really got going, as you may remember. So I'm going to pull them out, see what I can salvage from them. But it was all down to the poor soil in here, which has not been topped up or supported in any way for a number of years. It was the same story with the leeks. They never really fattened up as much as I would like. So I let them go to seed. And I'm really pleased that I did, because they're such a beautiful member of the Allium family. Much loved by all the pollinators. Here, every time I come up here, there are bees and bugs all over them, butterflies sometimes, and they really, really enjoy these. So I'm so pleased that I took the time to just leave them and let them go to seed, because they're beautiful and supporting our pollinators. Once they're done, this bed will be re-mulched with some new compost. Coming over to the left now, you'll remember my brilliant broad beans. I absolutely love them. They were the success story of the allotment area, and I had so many beans off of them. They've now finished, and this bed is bare, but I'm hoping to sow some carrots and parsnips in here once my other carrots and parsnips are harvested, so I may be able to use those over Christmas. And looking at this lovely bean arch, I think this section of the garden is now the most successful and productive area of the allotment. Coming over and having a look at the beans, they do now make their way all over the arch, and there are some lovely beans growing here already. So I know this is going to produce so many beans for me over the next month or two. So really pleased with it. It's managed to get going really well and made its way right to the top. Courgettes are doing amazingly, and the pumpkins over there are doing amazingly. So as you can see, these ones are finishing now, and this is the area of the garden of abundance, really, and of my main focus. Down here, I'm actually going to harvest some courgettes, because I know there's some that are getting really big under here, so I'm going to harvest these. We tend to get through 3 courgettes in our house every week, because we have sort of veg with every meal that we cook, pretty much, or if not, it goes into a sauce. So we tend to get through 3 a week. So at this time of year, to not have to buy them and to know that I've got the 3 courgettes up here, probably more than I need, to be honest, because I've got 3 here that I'm going to harvest, as you can see. And that's just from this one plant. And then I've got 2 other plants, one on the right, which has got some small courgettes just coming. If I can show you under here. Yep, there's one there. And over here, there's actually some that are almost ready to harvest again. So these might have to go to family and neighbours, because I don't know if I'll be able to use them as quickly as they're coming. As is always the way with courgettes, they are amazing but prolific. Coming over to the left-hand side of the arch, you can see the pumpkins are doing really, really well. We definitely have some baby pumpkins in here. Let me just see if I can find one to show you. As you can see, lots of flowers coming, which is a great sign, and a sign that pumpkins are on the way. Let's see if I can find one. Aha! A tiny baby pumpkin down here. Adorable. So that is going to be great. But yes, I think we're going to get quite a lot. There are a fair few flowers under here. The plants are looking really healthy. They will just go wherever they want. You can see they're taking over this entire bed. I've only got 3 in here. Much like the courgettes, they get massive. I don't imagine I'll be able to contain them in this bed. They'll probably spill over onto the paths and head off wherever they want. But as long as they don't get tangled, they'll be fine. Coming through the nasturtiums now, you can see that we have drastically changed the right-hand side of this back section since last month. Covered it, got it back in check and made a beautiful seating area, which I love. I've enjoyed many a drink up here of an evening. Over here, this is the section we still have to do. The reason we haven't done it yet is because of all these blackberries, because there are just so many delicious blackberries. We want to get the most out of these, so we're just leaving them to ripen up, picking as many as we can, and then once they're finished this year, this is when we'll cut them back and try and get them much more in check. But I can confirm they are ripening beautifully and they taste absolutely delicious. Coming back over here now, I have a question about my potatoes because something is happening and I'm not sure what. This has never happened before when I've grown potatoes. They've always been successful in containers. But as you can see, the leaves are yellowing. Some of them have completely died back in these 3. I don't know whether to dig them up and see if I can find out what's going on underneath. Is it the amount of rain we've been having? Are they kind of rotting in the soil? I know we've had so much rain that could be the case. Those ones over there actually look okay, but most of them did, and they just started to slowly yellow and fade. Any tips, please help. Carrots in here are doing well. I keep pulling them. They're only baby carrots, and I just pull them out, give them a rinse, and really enjoy them. They're great just as a little snack, really. They're a little garden snack as I come up here, grab some blackberries and a couple of baby carrots, and good for a mid-morning snack. Looking back over here now, my main plan for this section is actually to, once we've flattened it all down and covered it, I'm going to put another bed in here and fill it with raspberries because I've got some raspberries in pots that need to be planted. It will go with the blackberries, we'll have the raspberries here, and then this is our fruit area of the garden. And this is July from my cottage garden and allotment. I'm loving how it's all looking and I can't wait to see how things have changed in the month of August. Lots of beans in our future, I think. So that pretty much sums up how the garden is looking in the month of July. There are areas to improve and there are areas that I absolutely love. Lots of plans. This is the first year that I've fully taken ownership of the garden. I started this channel in beginning of September 2023. So we haven't even been going a year yet. And prior to that, I had just been fighting fires around the garden and trying to keep it going, but not taking ownership of any of the different areas. This last 10 months, I have been working really hard to clear areas and make each different area my own. And I'm really pleased with how things have progressed so far this year. Please do consider following along and seeing how things change over the coming months and years as I make more improvements and tweak things. And if you've got any ideas of things you would do with different areas, please do let me know because I'm still learning and finding it all out as I'm going along as well. Thank you so much for following along. I hope you've enjoyed the video today, and next week I'm going to be sharing with you my top jobs for the garden and allotment in the month of August. See you then. Bye.